Welcome to Calanova, to this new video about the newest addition to the WeBoat fleet. We are on board of the Axopar 37 cross-cabin adventure with Medpack, and this video we're going to make a quick overview about things to do, things to remember and things to learn for this new boat. We're in the harbor where we have some machines working, so we're just going to prepare the boat to leave and then keep doing the rest of the video outside in the bay. First for me, after stepping on board, we're going to go into the cabin. And we have under the driving helm, we have the four main switches. Engine, service and heavy aux. First thing, I switch them on. To switch them on, I move the cover down and then I press them in the on. Vice versa, to switch them off, I would now press the off, but we want to keep them on. Next, lower the engines. Make sure that you're not catching any of the ropes. Once the engines are all the way down, they're going to stop automatically. If you start them in the up position, you're going to recognize it immediately because it's very noisy. It doesn't break the engines, it's just not good for the engines, as they prefer to be in the water to have cooling. Next step, open the front hatch of the anchor locker to disconnect shore power. Take the shore power cable, don't throw it over, take it, wrap it around and put it on here. The danger is first you throw it, you miss it, you hit the harbor, you hit the water, or second, if you just put it here, someone comes, kicks it in, and then we have it in the water. And once in salt water, we have to replace the cable. As salt gets in, we can't redo it. Engines are started. We're all ready to go. So I will release my ropes in the front. As you see, and that's an important thing, there's absolutely no stress, so the boat will not go anywhere. I have all the time in the world to go to the back, take the lines in the back, drop them in the water. Here I want to make sure they haven't caught the propeller, so they're actually free and sinking. Double check that, no rope. Good to go. Actually, engines weren't started, so we started them now. Boat has a joystick, but we're still going to drive out as on any other boat. Before we start, we press the bow thruster on. Bow thruster where the two fingers in the on, and then the yellow light here in the middle lights up, and we can go out. And just to get the hang of it, we're going out with this boat as we go out with all our other boats. We do a big flow, so we do one big curve. We're not trying to maneuver too much here in this tight space. We want to go out in a big arc, and we have the bow thruster to correct our nose when it would be going somewhere else. There's no need to give more power, just in gear, engaged, and the boat goes out nicely. Good, now we reversed out into the main channel here where we have lots of time, there's no stress. Put the boat back into neutral, gonna stop the boat, and now it's time for me to take fenders out or in. Taking the fenders, for us it means don't hang them in. I mean, yes, you can hang them in, but what it means is you're always going to be hitting the fenders. Learn the knots. I mean, they're just two knots you have to know on the boat. One is the bowline, and then the other is the fender knot. And take the fenders off. And there's a big storage here in the front. fit them in. Actually, two big ball fenders on the stern, which they're supposed to be connected to the water ski arch and then go over the cleat. Take them, don't disconnect them, and just put them here in front of the engine. They're completely fine here. You can drive with them. Once you're back in the harbor, you just put them back out. Good, let's take the boat for a second chart here. So I have one chart where we have zoomed in, and we have one chart where I'm more zoomed out. What I'm missing as information, as you see on the very top, it's my depth. For some reason, the depth sounder doesn't give me any depth. Even with clicking on it, it doesn't tell me anything. So to get this started, we're gonna go in the sonar, which is called Echo. And you see here on the top left, it's paused. So just press play, and then if I go back to the chart now, the depth shows back up 7.1 meter, which is plenty. As you noticed, the roof is closed, and that's one thing we really ask you to do, because you're very well protected in here. So when you drive with the open roof, you don't feel, in bad weather conditions, you don't feel water with salt coming over. So what happens if you drive, you have water splashes, and they fly over here, and they make this part very salty. The boat has been out 3 times now with members or to test, and the whole section has been very salty. So rather close it a bit, or you can close it, keep it in a middle position where you still get the sun, but you would feel if you get salt in. Other safety before we start driving is actually on the sliding doors. You see that we have them open, they're in a complete open position, but as soon as you would decelerate, they would fall through, closed, or get closed, and they're heavy. So this door is probably 150 kilo. Having your hand here would cut off your fingers. Having a kid's head here would cut off the head. For that, there's the safety feature, which is this little hinge, and this little hinge stops the door from closing. As well, you can close it in a middle position, where you just slide it halfway through, and then you can put on this. That's for both sides. Driving without it, it's risky and like very dangerous, actually dangerous. We're going to drive now to Ietas. Driving on this boat, as we said, you feel very, very well protected, as you don't really feel if it's too cold, if it's windy. You really have to like observe more your surroundings. Good cruising speed with this boat, similar to the open boats, 25 knots, 25 to 30 knots. That's where the sweet spot is of this boat. While we're on the way, I'm going to close the door so it's a bit more comfy. We can have a look at the display, where we see where we have different information. This is the same device, vessel view device, as we have on all our boats. Rounds per minute starboard, fuel tank, how much fuel is left. This is not accurate, so you cannot say we started with 551 and we ended with 540. We used 11 liters. As you see, it jumps quite up and down. If you want to actually see how much you used in your trip, you would go into the top menu, go into Trip Intel, go into History, and go into Today's Activity. And there shows the today's usage. We traveled 1.3 kilometers, and we used 3 liters fuel so far. That's where you see the today's information, not on the fuel tank level. If you would have any problems on the engine, it would pop up here where it says system OK. There you would see any, if the motor or the engines have any other issues. Bow thruster, it's still on. You can switch it off here, or you can keep it on. It switches off after 90 minutes by itself. Trim tabs, that's the same as on all boats. We have here a remote for the anchor and for the bow thruster. We ask you to don't do anchoring from here in the back. We ask you to go to the bow, what we're going to do now, and drop the anchor when you're at the bow, so where you can actually see what are you doing. So you're not blind and just drop the anchor somewhere because you think it's a good position, and you don't see when you bring it up if it's hitting the bow or if it's damaging, if you're pulling too hard. So walk to the front. We look for a good anchor spot. It's quite windy, and today just one boat out, and we are looking for a turquoise spot where we know we have sand, and I'm going to drop the anchor. First, before we drop the anchor, we want to read the depth so we can calculate how much chain we have to deploy. 3.8 meter, let's call it 4. Calculate that by 3 or multiply it with 3, and we have to put a minimum of 12 meter. Completely bring the boat to the stop, facing the wind. Can do that with the bow thruster as well. And then we're going to walk forward. Loosen the shackle. Opening here, and on the Axopar 37 Adventure we have a Luma winch. Chain safety as well. We have a Luma winch with the remote, so we can drop the chain from here. I'm counting, so we can say every second goes 1 meter. So I put 15 meters now, and as well on the display here we can see how many meters of chain we've put. So now it says 15.7 meters. That's perfect. We can see if the anchor holds. It's sitting perfectly in the sand, and we go in there. Put this one back in, close it here, and we're gonna go inside and keep checking the boat. Good, we're in the bay. Now we're gonna proceed going from the front to the stern and then inside of the boat, starting at the anchor locker. We talked about the anchor remote, where we have a display to see how many meters of anchor chain we have out. Next to the anchor remote we have the fuse. That's how it would look when the fuse has been popped. To restart it again, you push this one back up, and now the fuse resets. That doesn't mean, there's a reason to this to pop. So that's normally that you put too much power on the anchor winch. So you're trying to pull up the anchor with having too much load on the chain. To avoid this, you drive throughout the anchor, or when you pull up the anchor, you just go very gentle. So you you pull up the chain when the chain faces down, and not when the boat is being dragged by the anchor. That will actually damage both the electric system, but as well all the installation here of the anchor winch. You see now it's full with the fenders. All the fenders fitted in here. Ropes, lines, water hose, and as well we have here the leg for a table, which we can install here in the front. It's like a bayonet, which you put in the T, then turn it, and by keep turning it, it goes stiff. And then we have the table, which sits underneath here, which you take out and would install then on the table leg. fenders back, and close it again. The sunbed, when you're on the way, especially when you have a little bit of water coming over or it's salty in general, we want to keep, it's a new material which can take salt and water, but we want to avoid it. There would be the cover. It takes 20 seconds to put on. It's this black material. We have 4 clips to put it on each side. As well, inside here we have the sunshade for the back, which we're going to put to the back. And as well, we have window covers to shade the windows, to darken them out. And we have the life raft here in the very front. Just to demonstrate, it really takes only a couple of seconds. It's the wrong way around. Put it here. You clip it. Both sides. And the cover's on. You can drive with the cover on. There's no need to take the cover off before driving. Let's go to the aft. On the way to the aft, let's have a look at the roof. We have 2 standard pedal boards here. They're already inflated with the 2 pedals. On the one board, the fin is already mounted. For the other board, the fin is in the port side aft locker, which I'm going to show you. To take them down, you loosen those straps. You can unclick them here. Oops. That doesn't work. Everything like you plan. Now it's unclipped. Take them down. When you put them back up, just watch out. Take a bit care. Put them as they were. Rinse them before you put them, so you don't have the salt dripping down. Connect it again and make them tight so they wouldn't fly away. Walking back, you have the 2 poles on the starboard side, you have 2 poles on the port side, therefore the sunshade, which you put in the back, starboard and port. Either side, you put them in here, and then we have this tarp which connects between the poles and the connection point here on the fishing rod holder. Arriving at the aft, to open the hatches here, you have to slightly lift up the cushion, don't rip them open, and underneath turn it so you can actually open it. Would be a place for a fender as well, but normally all the fenders fit in the front. In here you find some more ropes, but as well you find a 220 plug and you find a 12 volt plug. So there's a high pressure pump to inflate standard pedal boards or other toys, and you find a 220 plug for charger or something else. Close it again and make sure it's closed and not it's not opening. In the back we have the comfort bathing step. Before you drive, this has to be up and secured in, and there's a Velcro to open it, and then there are 2 hinges each side where it snaps in, and like this you would be able to use it. Pulls out, and then you push it back in, put it back in, and then close the Velcro in order for it to not open while you're driving. When you drive with the steps down, it damages the steps. We have to replace the steps because they bend and they won't slide in nicely. You see the Mercury V8, they are on this board in black. The covers you see, that's a drive cover, so you can drive with it. So the air intake stays open, as well as the exhaust, or the extra exhaust, which is over water. The main exhaust is underwater, but this is like a little extra part, so they can stay on when driving. Coming to the port side locker, same here. Slowly lift it get it turned, and in here we find the cover for our back lounge. We find the shower. The shower, you can see, has cold and warm water. So by twisting, now you're getting cold water. When you keep twisting, the water turns warm. You have plenty of warm water and plenty of water, as this boat has a extended water tank, so we almost doubled the size of the water. For me, what I would do if I come to bay, if I know we're going to do a lot of bathing, I would just take the water hose out, put it through here, close this one, and we have the water hose always accessible. So it doesn't need, or nobody needs to open and close, and we have plenty of hose to shower while you're standing outside. Just put it here nicely so everybody has access to it, and before you come back, before you go back, you would then actually put it back inside. My favorite position on this boat, and that's what you're going to find out as well, is here in the back. When you're driving, you're completely sheltered, so you don't get any wind, you don't get any cold. You can sit in the sun. Now we turn to the shade, so but now you can sit in the sun. The engines are not super noisy; they're quite quiet. It's a very nice position here in the back while driving. Cup holder, flagpole holder, and down here we have the bichero. I don't know the English word just now. The pole to get the boat hook. Thanks, Julian. The boat hook, bichero in Spanish, which you pull out and then you make it fix again. You push it in, you open it, you push it back in, and place it here. If we always keep it in the same position, everybody can always find it. As I said before, these are the other poles for the sunshade, front or back. They're the same length, so doesn't matter which one of the two you would be using. Coming inside, and that's now probably the biggest change. Let me close the doors as well. That's probably the biggest change. Inside here, you're completely sheltered from the surroundings, and it's very, it gives more space when it gives a very protected feeling when you close it, and it gives a very open feeling when you open it, because you see it's completely covered by windows, so it's very good visibility, and the open roof and the open doors, they really have to feel that you're sitting outside. Here in the top we have a kitchen, which is think it's for a day. It's a day charter boat still, so really to start frying or cooking in here, that's not the right idea. It's more you can wash some stuff, you can put some snacks, but it works. It's an induction field where if you want to start it, you have the control unit here. But before we can start it, we have to go into the 220 volt system and explain you a few things here. Sitting here, there's a coffee machine. The coffee machine pulls out on the side. It's an espresso, so you would fill water and you would fill your an espresso capsule, and then once the 230 is started, which you're going to do now, otherwise we run in circles, you can make yourself a coffee. 230, so the boat runs on 12 volt like all the boats, quite normal. And then in addition, on this boat we've installed a 220 volt inverter, which is controlled by this small panel. To start it, you hold 2 seconds on the power button, and now it starts up. Underneath here we have a control panel where it says the battery charge state, so we're at 69%. And when you go through, you can see the voltages, you can see the draw, what we're drawing. We're drawing 16 amps at the moment, and that's the time remaining if we keep drawing what we're drawing at the moment. See, at the moment on the top, status is yellow, it's yellow, so the inverter is on. If it would be red, it would say have a fault, so easiest is just to restart it. With this being on, now we have 220 volt, on the boat means first down here the induction oven or the stove. You can see that we can start it, and then it's like a normal oven where you can make it more hot or less hot on this one. But as well, the Nespresso has started. There's no water in it, so we can't make a coffee just now. But another function which has been switched on now is the air condition. So air condition for warm and cold. You see this little red light here, that means we have power but it's not on. We switch it on, hold 3 seconds on and off, and then here it says a sun, that means heating. If I click it, the sun and what is it, like an ice symbol, I can change it to freezing or to cooling. This is the temperature measured and this is the temperature set, so we'll set it down now to 20 degrees. We can see how strong we want to have it. This would be full power, this would be medium, and this would be night mode. As this air condition is configured for big camper home, for us the setting being in night mode or in silent mode is sufficient. So it has plenty of power just to cool it down being in night mode, and then we have the longest range with our 220 volt inverted electricity from 12 volt, so we can run around 5-6 hours. When this is our main consumer at the moment, the air condition or the induction or the coffee machine, when the power gets too low, the 220 inverter just cuts off. So as the voltage drops below 11.9 volts, the inverter shuts off and restarts automatically once we have plugged the boat into shore power or we restarted the engines, so the voltage, the charge goes up basically. To switch it off again, on and off, as we don't need air conditioning with the doors open, and you will see it's not really needed as you have a lot of airflow going through the boat and out. Quick look down below. To open the back or the aft cabin, you want to lift the cushion and then hold it in the middle, and then it folds up and it connects on each side with a little string to the top, so you can actually drive with it when it's up. Down here, what you see now, it's the cushion has been moved up to have a look into the hatch. So I'm going to put now the cushion, and then it gives a full-sized, almost king-size bed with reading lights. You can open the hatch to get some ventilation. Yeah. But as well, it has air condition, so the air condition or the heating goes in there as well. Please don't just sleep on the boat. If you want to sleep on the boat, if you want to use the cabins, inform us so we can prepare the boat before and after, because that needs some time and some preparation. And as there's several people using the boat, and we should always consider this is a public space, so use it after informing us before. Cutlery, glasses, cups are in here. Oh, there's even some coffee for us now once we're done with the video. What I see missing is dishwashing soap. So once you're done using the cups and stuff, you can wash your dishes in here. Fridge space. We have a fridge here. That's the standard fridge which comes on the Axopar 37 cabin, which has even a small ice compartment, but it's not really, it's not really big. To add some more fridge capacity, we added down below this big cooler box. It's a 12 volt cooler box, and this is the side where it actually freezes, and you can put some ice, you can make some ice cubes, or even if you put a bag of ice on here the ice stays frozen, as this is the coldest part because it's producing all the coolness here. When leaving, take the water out, take your stuff out and keep it open. So you want to have it open so it doesn't start melting, smelling and be disgraceful. To start it, we have the 12 volt plug here. It's running on 12 volt. You plug it in here and now it starts cooling. You see the light switched on and now it would start cooling. Down here we have another 230 volt plug to connect your laptop, to charge your laptop, or to charge any other smaller devices. Being now in the front cabin, we have the sunshade for the bow. So that's, you saw the poles on the top. That's now the part which you would put to shade. We have underneath here the toilet, the famous Axopar toilet. Same principle as on all the other boats. Check before you use the boat that it's working. So you bring in water, pushing here, and then you suck it out into a tank by holding the other. You see there's some toilet paper here. It's very thin paper, which this machine or this toilet can actually handle. It cannot handle any other hygiene products, baby wipes or anything. If you put this one, blocks the toilet. It's a literally shit job to get it out. And we're not very happy to do this on a regular basis, as it's very dirty. After using the toilet, all the shit goes into a holding tank, and there's one switch here where it says macerator, and this one pumps out from the holding tank, from the shit tank, into the water. You can hear the macerating noise, how it's really cutting everything in small pieces. And this, if the toilet has been used 10 times, it takes 2 minutes, and you hear now, you hear bubbles. So it really starts bubbling when it's empty. Holding this one is not a matter of 20 seconds, it's more a matter of 2 minutes. So you really have to hold it until it's empty. This has been done when you're not in the bay, when you're not in the harbor. That's when you're driving back. Legally it's 3 miles off the coast. But yeah, let's say when you're out, when you're not in the bay anymore. These fuses we won't need ever, or not on a regular base anyhow, or not for you to use. The only thing I want to point out is the fresh water pump. The fresh water pump has a safety. When it runs dry, it would switch off. Then you fill, or we fill the water tank again, but then the water pump doesn't know that she's full again. So we have to one time switch her manually off and manually restart her, and then she starts pumping and creating pressure again, because now she gets the information that she's back full of water. Storage with nothing in it. Safety stuff, as on all our boats, it's a full safety kit. We had some stuff getting stolen from another boat. There's life jackets in. Imagine you coming on a boat where you have no life jackets because the person who used the boat before you took some life jackets. That's crucial. Legally crucial, but as well safety crucial. Now we put the cover, so the gullowing doors are going to show you from outside. We head to the cockpit and have a look what we can see in the cockpit. We talked about the vessel view. We're gonna make another video just about the new Simrad NSX plotters with the new with all the new design. I want to go through the panels where we have the different lights: anchor light, deck light, roof light, ambient light, underwater light, the window wiper, the horn, the bilges, which are always on. We don't have to switch them on. Like this, they would be constantly running. Like this, they're on, but in automatic mode. So we don't have to touch them any further. Then we have two with auxiliary. This auxiliary has no function. This auxiliary controls the displays. So switching the aux off and on starts and stops the displays. Skyhook, that's something where we have a different video about, just the skyhook. We have a charger here for USB. This is to open and close the roof. We have 2 keys, USB charger, an additional USB charger where you would plug in from below. In this pocket we have the boat papers in case you get stopped. All the boat papers are in here. To start the radio, you see we don't have the radio control button. If you want to connect for the first time, you just go into the cabin, and just around the corner we have the Fusion control box. On here you press the middle one, press it and hold it for 2 seconds, and then you see the whole thing starts flashing. To connect, you enter your Bluetooth and you go into and you connect with the device called AX, like Axopar 37 Adventure. Only for the first time. Once you connect it, you can then control the radio on the screen by pushing this app, or by starting the app on the main display. Good. Anything I forgot to mention? The seats probably. That's the new. I mean, on this one we don't have so much, but that's called Mediterranea. That's the new upholstery. They don't work if you pull on one side, yeah, because then they would go down uneven. Best would be to use both hands, or if you want to use one hand, use it in the middle. Be gentle with them. Yeah, there's nothing to be violent. Pulling on one side would open it as well, but it's not the right way to do it. We're going to take up the anchor now. That's going to be the last thing before driving back. The boat, we had the inspection today from the Spanish inspectors, so we're waiting to get the charter license soon. Should be right in time for the bad weather to start, so when you really need the cabin here for Mallorcan winter, how we call it, in shorts and in t-shirt. That's just the last thing for myself. From our side, we really like to see this boat in the fleet. I think it's going to be a great addition for this time between. Take care of the boat. Yeah, we limited the number, so there's no more than 8 people on the boat, which is already plenty. This is not a boat to go on with 10, 12 people. This is more a boat to go out with 2, 4, 6, or even probably 6 plus 2 kids, 8 people. Take really good care of it. Really like it. Handle it softly, meaning put this one up and down really handy. And for you being the member or the charterer, it's your responsibility to control your troops. Yeah? If you have 6 people on board, talk with them, tell them, give them a briefing, tell them how to watch out for the doors. Yeah, we don't want to slam them. We can easily close it. There's no reason to slam them down. Same with the anchor. You're the captain. You know how to anchor. They have no idea. So you would want to walk down forward. There's no need for you to be here. You can't do anything from here, but you can control what they're doing or what you're doing at the anchor. So really, it's your responsibility, but as well it's part of your job and what you should enjoy. Starting now, turning this. I'm gonna start the engines now. Gonna walk to the bow and pick up the anchor. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon in the harbor, on the boats, or on the water. We're gonna bring up the anchor, so I have the remote in my hand, and I will be standing here in the front to really see what I'm doing. And I want to have the anchor chain facing this direction. As soon as I see the chain going up, I stop, because now the chain weight, or the weight of the chain, gonna pull the boat forward direction to the anchor, and the chain gonna relax and gonna go down again. So I'm gonna do the same over again. You see it's coming up, I stop. So I never have the pressure on the chain relaxes, I start going up, and by this I slowly move the boat forward, just by the weight of the chain. And at one point we're going to be over the anchor. You can see it relaxing. Now we over the anchor and then we can pull it all the way up. When it comes up, again, I'll be watching, and when I see it hitting this water surface, I really give it very, very, very slow ticks and bring it in. And I even stop here without pushing or pulling it in very hard. There's no need to switch it off. Done. You've seen there's the other option that I have someone to drive me in the direction. So I would drive up to the anchor and lift up the chain. But for that I have to be two people knowing what they're doing. This is the other way. So I have the anchor over there, my chain relaxes, I pull it up, the chain comes up, I stop, taking up the anchor, and then the chain relaxes again, pulls the boat forward, and I can take up the chain without stressing the anchor winch or stressing any of the material. Now we arrived back to the harbor, and we actually went into this big waiting area. I mean, there's a huge area where we can wait. We have lots of times to put our fenders. Hang them high so they don't touch the water. Get to know the fender knot. Actually not complicated. And hang all these 6 fenders. With the big fender on the side, which hangs a bit too low, which we're going to lift up a little bit. So we're just coming back in the harbor, we just put the fenders. We put the fenders actually in here. There's no need to put the fenders when you're 1 mile outside and then drive back, having the fenders again splash all your boat. So you have lots of time when you're in this area, approaching the harbor or even entering the harbor in the very front. And this boat, they don't drift fast, but even if they would drift fast, it would still give you so much time to put the fenders. And again, put the fenders is your job. If you want to stay on the helm and have someone else put the fenders, control them, check that the fenders are on the right level, that they're high, that they're connected, that they don't hang in the water, and we don't lose the fenders. Going in now, we're gonna go to its mooring, and I just want to use this opportunity to show how we want to do this. We have our bow thruster switched on. We're going to put the helm straight, so there's no reason for us anymore to be steering. And there are 2 options. You can either do it with the bow thruster, which you have, why wouldn't you use it? So if you want to put the bow to starboard, you just push it to starboard. Or you can do it with the 2 engines, so I could counter rotate the engines. And for now I will use the engine version, where I have the 2 hands. I don't want to touch the helm anymore. It sits perfectly straight. I don't need it anymore. I don't even go in a big curve. I approach quite in the middle of the water. I put 1 engine to reverse, the starboard engine in this case, because I want to go to starboard. And by doing so, giving it more power, I can turn the boat very slowly. And you can see how my nose comes around. And if it doesn't go fast enough for me, I can just add the bow thruster. Push ourselves in, and then more or less drive forward into my berth. So I don't want to like steer into my berth, because now I know when I have my steering wheel centered, I know when I go to put it to reverse, all the boat gonna do is brake, not gonna go into one direction or the other. So by keeping my helm centered, I always know what the engines are doing. So I can brake by just putting both to the back, and the boat completely comes to standstill without like losing its stern. Now again, there's no rush, there's plenty of time. The boat would sit still in this position. If it wouldn't, I would just have someone and say, ah, can you please sit on the side and hold on to the next boat. If there's no next boat, we always lean against something. To have a boat centered in the middle without having a boat or wall or something left and right, it's very difficult. But to have a boat lying next to another boat or lying next to the dock, I mean, what's more difficult, or what's difficult about this? I have someone holding me. I can do the line with all the time. I can do the lines in the back, and yeah, there's no stress involved in this one as well. I know I do this quite often, so I don't want to compare me doing it to someone else, but you see the way we teach, or we want people to do it, it's quite an unstressful job. Same was going out. It's just one big move, very smooth. It's not going in of gear, out of gear, in of gear. It's really taking the boat, going out smoothly. That was just an addition. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Calanova.